B-boy. From the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide. We supposed to be blessed, still a B-boy.
This week, we're throwing those dubs up and heading to LA to talk about who I think is one of the most underrated rappers from the West Coast with a unique flow, unlike anybody before or after him, from his days with Low Profile to Mad Circle to Westside Connection. He put it down and crip walked better than most of his peers. This week, top 10 WC songs. Joining me, as always, I got Raven Hunter in the house. Brad Sadler is back, as is Diz Mega, and we're going to do this thing. Now, for the first time in still a B-Boy podcast history, I have a little disclaimer, because this one I had trouble. His career's, I don't know, my brain just processes it differently. So I had to finally go down. Why do I love Dub C? Because there's times that he's been in my top 10, top 15 rappers, period. So there's a handful of rappers back when you had to buy albums and you didn't hear things, there was no internet. If I could pick up an album and if it said featuring Ice-T or featuring Ice Cube, it could be MC Shitstain, and the name of the album could be Chris Bondi's a Bitch. I would buy it because, Ice Cube's on it. And he was one of those rappers. If I saw Dub C was featured, I would check it out. When it came down to it, what I love is his storytelling, and I'm going to delve deep into it. He's an amazing storyteller. And yes, I like that unique flow with that, that janky type flow he later adopted, but he is an amazing storyteller. So I'm going to bring us right in at number 10. The year is 1992, the Trespass soundtrack, and the song Quick Way Out. This was when Coolio was still in the Mad Circle. And it's just a great back and forth story about that gangster life, getting money, living dangerously. DJ Crazy Tunes on the beat, a member of Mad Circle, totally underrated producer. Man, this Trespass soundtrack, I know I've said it before, one of the most underrated soundtracks. And even, forget that, one of the best hip-hop soundtracks of all time, in my opinion. So I had to rep it. Quick Way Out, my number 10. Brad, you're up next. What's your number 10?
All right, you'll probably hear about that song again, but I went with one that was a bit of a surprise. So I also at some points in my life considered Dub C to definitely be in my top 10 rappers, but then in the 2000s I kind of stopped buying his albums. But for this podcast, I went through and I found this song off of 2011, Revenge of the Barracuda. But the song is 100% legit. And damn, that song is awesome. It's got the Eazy-E sample. It sounds like old school G-Funk. His voice sounds great. I was like, man, did I miss out on this album? I don't know, but this particular song is phenomenal, so I had to throw it in my top 10 as a surprise.
That was an honorable mention. Such great Eazy-E sample, and I'm so glad that made someone's list. I might have snuck it in on a top 15 list just for that Eazy-E sample alone. Raven, what's your number 10? Is it a wrestling theme? I know there's a Dub C wrestling theme, so I'm expecting it to come in one of these times, right?
No, actually, I must have missed that one. That sucks. I'll look for that later. But yeah, number 10.
He did a remix of Stone Cold Steve Austin's on that one WWF Aggression. I think so.
I should have looked at that. I should have looked at that show. I wouldn't be surprised.
Anyways, what's your number 10?
I went to 2002's Ghetto Heisman, and I went to the song The Streets. It had, Nate Dogg, Snoop Dogg were in it. The dope beat, Scott Storch did it, I believe. And it sounds very indicative of 2002's music. That beat reminds me of, it takes me back to that early 2000s shit. And I love Dub C. I love Nate Dogg.
And Ghetto Heisman was kind of the last album that I really, really liked, even though I checked out the two after. I kind of look at that as his last, real Dub C album. Yeah, no doubt about it. And like we always say, it can't go wrong with Nate Dogg on the hook. Diz, what's your number 10?
So I went to Guilty by Affiliation. Look at Me. I love that track. It was hard actually just getting to 10. I love that Easy E track too. But Look at Me, Rick Rock had a dope beat. I love the hilarious ending. It doesn't seem like Dub C is trying too hard on it to get out of his element. It's just a good old Dub C track, and I love it, man. Look at Me.
That's another honorable mention. Those are two honorable mentions I never dreamed to make anybody's list. So that's cool when there's other people, thinking the same. Number 9, I'm going to the year 1998, the shadiest one. His first solo one after getting the world to recognize him from Westside Connection. And I'm going with the track It's All Bad, another amazing storytelling track about a car chase with the police. And from the sound effects in the back to the way he's verbalizing what's going on, you feel like you're in the car with him. Especially the sound effects and the overdubs in the back really, really, really make it work. Legendary DJ Battle Cat on the beat. And this was the first album without the Mad Circle label. He was just going solo, even though on the second one he was the only rapper, but that's going down a rabbit hole. But It's All Bad. Storytelling, love it. The shadiest one. Number 9, Brad.
Okay, so when I found Dub C, I was like, okay, so this guy's in the Mad Circle. He's also in some group called Low Profile. So I had to go back and find all that stuff and get the Low Profile album. And then he was also on this compilation. I think it's one of the first songs they ever put out. It's called Think You Can Hang. There's actually a private press one called Hip Hop You Crave, which I am still looking for, which I've never heard. But as far as like the first song that came out, I think this is it after that private press. And I figured this would get a little bit more love from Chris, considering it's the Ice-T Rhyme Syndicate. So when I was doing my research, I was like, reading about Low Pro, and it was like, yeah, they're on a Rhyme Syndicate compilation. And I'm like, oh, what Rhyme Syndicate compilation? And then I'm like, oh shit, I have this. So I got it. I think mainly I got it because I'm also a big Everlast fan. And his first song is on here as well, too. But anyways, a little bit of history with Ice-T and Dub C, even though most of the music Dub C made later on was with Ice Cube.
Another honorable mention. Yes, it was hard. And that was the first time I heard Dub C. And I believe that was the first one where a mass amount of people would have heard him. And that is a interesting compilation because you get him right early. You get Everlast really early. I mean, those Rhyme Syndicate Everlast songs, he sounds so young. And it's funny now he's got that deep, gravelly, bluesy voice. But back there he sounded like a teenager. But no, I'm glad it made someone's list. I was hoping it would. Number 9, Raven.
Number 9, I went to the 97 gang-related soundtrack for the track Gang-Related. It had Trey D, CJ Mack, and Daz in it. Produced by Daz. I love that beat. I love that movie. I really like a lot of Pac's acting. But that was just a dope movie, and had a great 2-disc soundtrack, and that song was one of the standouts.
So that's the soundtrack I always screw up with Gridlocked. Is Gang Related the one with the Tech 9 song on? Or is that Gridlocked? Yeah, see.
No, that was Gang Related.
Yeah,
Gang Related is where I got my my alias Count Fetty from the
the Ice Cube song on there.
Yeah, the Ice Cube song Green. So I love that soundtrack. I didn't even think to look there. Damn.
Yeah, I didn't think of that song either. It had been a minute since I had listened to the Gridlock soundtrack. Number 9, Diz.
All right, number 9, man. I went with Bang Loose off of Ghetto Heisman, featuring Dr. Stank, Lady T, and DeVille. I don't know these people really, but the song is so dope. The beat's dope. It's just a fun track. And I tried to, really dig into his solo stuff and find ones like this that that aren't like in my rotation all the time when it comes to like Dub C. And this one was just a standout one in my opinion. It's kind of a fun track, but man, they kill it, man. The beat is awesome. It's just an upbeat track, and I love hearing Dub C on it. It had to make my number 9, man.
All right, number 8. I am going to 1991. Ain't a damn thing changed. And I'm going with the song Back to the Underground. Damn, this beat by Sir Jinx, another producer who does not get talked about enough. Dub C and Coolio just ride this faster beat perfectly. They're going back and forth, almost Run DMC style. And it really reminds me of the Ice Cube song, The Bomb, which is the last track on America's Most. It really always reminds me of that, even though Sir Jinx didn't produce The Bomb Squad did. But I remember this album, I remember hearing that the guy from Low Profile started a new group, and I had to go, and it said on the ad featuring who MC8, JD of the Lynch Mob, so I bought it right away, and I was not let down. Back to the Underground is the last real track on the record. So that was my number 8, Brad. What about you?
I went to the Ghetto Heisman. If it's got Nate Dogg on the hook, it's a track for me. The Streets, awesome song. Actually, this is a great album, and I wish I would have had more room to put some other stuff on there. The song with MC Ren and Ice Cube is pretty cool. It's almost like an NWA, and then they've even got some Ice Cube and Mac 10 on there as well too. What a killer album.
Yeah, they had a Westside Connection song on there. Walk, right?
Walk, yep.
Walk. No, that is a good record. And just like you, I can only squeeze one from there, but that's his last really good record, in my opinion. Raven, what's number 8 on your list from Willie Calloway?
Number 8, I went to 98's The Shadiest One, which that album, I go back and forth between that and Curve Serving, which is my favorite dubstep. I love The Shadiest One. I went with Cheddar with Mac 10 and Ice Cube. Yeah, Mo Suave did that beat, and I love the beat. I love the flow, and I love those guys together.
When Shadiest One came out, it became my favorite. And then I went back through time, and I probably like Curb Surfing a little bit more because there's a few tracks I skip on Shadiest One, but there's no doubt that is hard. And he came, so many new people heard him on Westside Connection. And this was the perfect type of solo album to ride off the success of Bow Down. So I'm not surprised that would be number 1 in someone's mind and heart as far as his albums. Number 8, Diz.
Number 8, man, I went with Dodgeball, Guilty by Affiliation. I got a few songs from that album in Heisman, spoiler alert, but I couldn't help it. This song is incredible, though. It shows Dub C in a different light. Like you were talking earlier about his storytelling skills. I mean, it really shines here. I love the title Dodgeball. If you listen to his lyrics and everything, you get the reference. And then Snoop Dogg comes in and has a great verse as well. Butch Cassidy on the hook, though, he's kind of underrated as somebody who does hooks, but he's got that good DPG-ish type of almost Nate Dogg type of sound. He sounds great. I think they came up with the classic here, so Dodgeball it is.
This is gonna sound weird, and I couldn't believe I was saying it to myself. And when I'm going through this, it had been a while since I listened to Guilty by Affiliation, and I found myself thinking this line I never thought I would say about a rap record. I think Ice Cube is featured too much on this album. Like Ice Cube's almost on every song, and I love Ice Cube, but I was like, damn, it's almost like at that point they must have fell out with Mac 10. It's almost like a Westside Connection album without Mac 10.
Yeah, well, he doesn't do verses on each song he's featured on. He's kind of just sometimes he's just in the background, whatever. So, but yeah, his name's everywhere.
Like, God damn, Ice Cube's on this song too? What the hell? Let Dub have a song all by himself. But that was a funny thing to think in my head. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, look at the cover.
Right. I know. That's what I'm saying. Ice Cube's trying to steal his shine like Puffy, in old Bad Boy videos. All right, number 7, 95's Curb Serving. Woo, what an album. The evolution of Dub C lyrically from that first record to this one is light years. And I'm going with the title track, Curb Serving. This title track just always stood out to me. A great beat by Crazy Tunes with a great hook sampling Ice Cube and scratching. And I always love, and Raven, you'll appreciate this as a horror movie fan, when he says chasing rappers like those little balls from Phantasm. That always makes me smile.
Hell yeah.
All these years later, I smile every time I hear that line because that's such a great line. And it's a short album, like 45 minutes, but to me, no skips. Even the Creator one, I like that. I like that. So, yeah, Curb Serving, title track, my number 7. Brad, what about you?
Well, I also went with the Mad Circle, but a little bit earlier. So, Ain't a Damn Thing Changed, which is a really fabulous album. Lots of good stuff on here. But the best track is Out on a Furlough, in my opinion. And so that was my number 7. Awesome storytelling. I just remember when I really started getting to rap, one of my good friends, we started listening to Dub C and the Mad Circle. He's like, Out on a Furlough, man, you got to check out on a Furlough. So first thing I did, and that song is it's just great. And there's a line in there like he's in prison and the I don't know, the gangbanger in the prison says something like, if you can rap, you won't need a bodyguard. And he's like, y'all, I'm not that soft, but for the next 6 months, I was rapping my ass off.
Yep, that's the highlight of that song. That always makes me smile. Yeah. No, that was an honorable mention. Great song. That probably would have been in my top 15. And you're right, that line is awesome. We're on 7. We are on Raven.
Number 7, I went to 2007's Guilty by Affiliation for the track West Coast Voodoo with the game. So I actually really like the beat, and I do like the game. And it was just, I don't know, I just think they matched pretty well on that beat together.
Game was super hot at that in that period. Those first 2, at least, Game records,
Oh, yeah.
the ones on the major ones. Like the documentary to me is almost unskippable. Even Doctor's Advocate is almost unskippable. All right, Diz, what's your number 7?
Number 7, back to Ghetto Heisman, Wanna Ride with Cube and Ren. Love the track. They both come correct. Ice Cube is a welcome feature on it, of course. It's almost like NWA-ish, I love it. MC Ren actually has one of his best, I guess you could say, verses on here. Like, Dubsy really got his money's worth out of Ren. I feel like I've heard everything from Ren, really. And these verses that he has on here were just phenomenal. Wonderful track. I love it. Wanna Ride. Cube Ren. It's dope, man.
Another honorable mention. And another one of those rappers, if I saw featuring MC Ren, I would buy it every single time.
Take my
Every
money.
single time. I mean, MC Shit Stain, I'm buying that if you feature Ren. I wonder if there's a rapper named MC Shit Stain, or he thinks I'm making fun of him. I'm sorry if there's a rapper named that. But you should pick a better name. Number 6, for the first time, I'm going to 2002's Ghetto Heisman. Great title. And I'm going to the storytelling element again, Something to Live For. Now, this is a crazy story about how he's doing dirt, and they kidnap his daughter and hold her for ransom. And the beat is by Derek Jackson, and it just fits the mood so well. And he goes through getting the ransom letter and how he feels at each step dealing with the kidnappers. And he just paints such a great picture. And then the horrible ending, just you can feel the emotion when that twist at the end comes where, spoiler, they kill his daughter. Maybe it hits me different because I have a daughter, but this song, from the first time I heard it, always really got me. Great storytelling, paints such a great picture. Yeah, Something to Live For, Ghetto Heisman, number 6. Brad, what about you?
All right. So number 6, I went with a little bit more history. Went with the low profile album. We're in this together. And I think Dub C got better with his rapping and his his ability to emote and do all those, kind of however you describe whatever it is, the stammering and the little voices that he does. But this is a solid album. It's a really good album. It's a great starting point. And I like the single Funky Song. It's got a good, it's got a good sample in it. And this was a cool record. And they were in this together for one album. And then apparently he says that out of furlough, he gets out of jail and the low profile guy, and he's like, well, fuck it, I'll just join the Mad Circle. So who knows what happened? I tried to read into why they broke up, but there's literally nothing on the internet about it.
I don't know why they broke up, but DJ Aladdin would go on to do a lot of production for Ice-T, which makes sense that they were affiliated with Rhyme Syndicate. But yeah, another honorable mention, either that or Paying Dues was the first single, but it was a single, I know, because I have the record back here for Funky Song. So it was a single. But yeah, it hurt me not to put anything from Low Profile on the list because, damn, that's Rhyme Syndicate affiliated. Raven, what's your number 6?
Quick Way Out from Trespass soundtrack, produced by Crazy Tunes. We've talked about that soundtrack quite a bit. It's so many fucking good songs. So many songs show up on these podcasts from it. So that's testament to how good that soundtrack is. And Dub C, he goes really hard in that track.
And so many people don't seem to even know about that soundtrack. It's almost like it slid under the radar. Didn't reach the heights of like a Friday and Menace to Society soundtrack. But I'll put Trespass up against any soundtrack personally. And it features a fucking who's who of that era. But yeah,
I'm so glad, like, for so many years, I just lived and loved that soundtrack by myself and knew nobody in this
right?
world that loved that soundtrack. And every time we bring it up, I'm like, fuck yes. Because I've been screaming about that. So I've been like, the Trespass soundtrack, that's the best fucking soundtrack. There is not a skippable track on there. And well, I'll talk about mine later, but I mean, there's songs like Quick Way Out and others like the Penthouse Players Click song on there and the Ice-T and Ice Cube song. I mean, all of them are fucking amazing. So I had to throw my little 2 cents in there. Every time we bring it up, it makes me feel so good.
I was the same way. Like in real time when this came out, I was pushing it on all my friends. I'm like, you gotta listen to this, gotta listen to this. I don't know why it kind of was slid under the radar, but it did. We are on 6 yet, and we are at Diz, I believe.
6. Let's see. 80s Babies, Guilty by
Um,
Affiliation again, man. I can't help it, man. That record and Heisman, I just love those records. But I love 80s Babies with Ice Cube. Great beat. Ice Cube does what he does on here, and so does Dub C. The whole topic is kind of hilarious, and they're just like I'm saying, man, they're just having fun with it. Some of these songs are just a far stretch from the Westside Connection shit, man. At first, it would throw me off when after I heard Westside Connection and then Dub C solo albums. They took a while to grow on me because I was expecting some of that Westside Connection, but none of the Westside Connection members ever went back. I feel like to that well of energy anymore, but that doesn't mean that this shit wasn't dope. So I love this track here. It's gonna be my number 6.
all right, we are halfway. We're to number 5. I'm going back to that first Mad Circle album, 91's Ain't a Damn Thing Change, and I'm going with the song Behind Closed Doors. I think this is an extremely underrated, like anti-police song of this era. Yes, people think of Fuck the Police, obviously, Cop Killer. Those are classics, but this song really kind of shined a light on it in a different way. I love how the verse is him writing a letter to the chief of police, and he starts it with, "Sorry for the sloppy handwriting, but I got a broken hand from the police brutality." And he goes through in his letter, all the things that, shady police are doing it. Dub C and Coolio cover the basic issues with police at the time, and unfortunately this time as well. Chili Chill, another producer who doesn't get talked about enough, and Crazy Tunes together did the beat. Chili Chill, like Sir Jinx, they did work with like Lynch Mob and Cube, but they popped up here and there and other West Coast artists, and I just always like to give those type of people much love because a lot of people forget them throughout history. But Behind Closed Doors, I not a Fuck the Police level, but I put it one notch below if we're going to talk bad about the LAPD. So that's my number 5. Brad, you're up.
All right, I don't have the record for this, unfortunately. So I spent the last hour looking for it, which is really frustrating when I can't find it since everything is now organized, meaning it's either lost or misplaced. But it's the Westside Connection album, Terrorist Threats, and the song is Gangsta Nation. I love Westside Connection. I generally love the first album the most, but I really like that song with Gangsta Nation. Once again, Nate Dogg on the hook. So, and I wish I could show the vinyl. But anyways, that's why I was looking to see if I'd posted about having it because I have it in my Discogs like little thing that says I have it, but I couldn't find it. And I was like, well, maybe I made a post about it. And that's when I found that signed West Side Connection thing for $1,500.
5, Raven.
I went to the shadiest one from '98 to the track Hog, produced by Battle Cat. I love that beat, and I love the way Dub C goes off in that shit. That's probably my favorite song on the shadiest one for sure.
That would have been my number 12 because I know what my 11 would have been, but what a great way to start that record. And he kind of does a similar song on Ghetto Heisman too. Bellin, just a
Yeah.
great way to start it. He's just with that stuttery and da 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 da. You know, he really does it different than no one really ever copied exactly how Dub does that. Maybe no one can, but
You can't.
yeah, right. No, Hog is dope. That was on my list for a while. 5. Diz, what's on your list?
5. I picked my last pick from the Ghetto Heisman. I had to pick The Streets with Snoop and Nate Dogg. Scott Storch on the beat. This is like a West Coast anthem. I don't know the recipe for making an anthem, but I know it when I hear it, and this has got to be an iconic track for the West Coast. It just can't be denied, and of course Nate Dogg on the hook, like what can you? You can't deny it. It's a classic track. So yeah, made my number 5.
Man, I made all your lists except me. Damn, it is a good
Motherfucker.
song though. Yeah, motherfucker.
You fucked it up.
Yeah, I know. It's not the
Change,
first
change
or
something real
last time.
quick. It's cool.
I mean, my number 5 is The Streets. Oh, we are to 4, and I am going to back to '98's The Shadiest One, Raven's favorite Dub C album. And I'm going with the song Fucking With a House Party. I know I keep saying it, but the storytelling, I think WC might be a top 5 storyteller in all of hip hop history when you really look at it under a microscope and pay attention. This tale, a local hood rat talks him into going to a house party in a different neighborhood, and he knows he shouldn't, but he does anyways, and crazy shit ensues, including him getting beat down. And he says, I look like the Elephant Man with a Jerry curl. But just he explains everything he's seen at the house party and how things start going bad and like, oh shit. And another beat by DJ Battlecat just transports you to that house party. And I love the storytelling of it. So Fucking With a House Party. That's my number 4. What is Brad's number 4?
All right, we're going to my favorite Dub C album. And I actually have the US press and the Euro press because I love this album so fucking much. Curb Serving. When did it come out? Like 95?
95. Yeah.
Yeah, that year my friend and I listened to this album over and over and over again. We'd smoke weed and just play this album. And one of the songs that we loved was Put on the Set because we were always stoned, and then he's talking some crazy shit about doing some really, I don't know, wet. I don't know. I think it's like something dipped in PCP or something.
Cigarettes.
Yeah. So it's crazy. And he's talking about like he's so fucked up. He's like joining in all these different TV series. It's awesome. He's got all that funny stuff he does with his voice. When I was replaying this record, I just kept actually playing this on repeat, and I was like, yeah, this one's definitely going to make it because I just love this song so much. So Put on the Set, number 4 for me.
On the Set was my number 11. It was on the list to the very end. That's awesome that someone else really likes that song. I thought it was so creative going through all the different TV shows. He's on American Gladiators and all this shit. Just Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Such a cool concept.
And I didn't realize American Gladiators was when I was listening to the song, I was like, is American Gladiators back in 95? Like I felt like that was later.
It's earlier even. I think that was towards the end of American Gladiators.
Oh, really? Wow. I didn't really watch it.
so.
So I think of all those reality type shows as being like 2000s and forward. So I was like, oh, maybe that was like the first one.
No, I think even maybe late 80s because I was in like grade school when I was watching that. And we would make our own American Gladiator obstacle courses in the neighborhood and shit. But that's a rabbit hole that has nothing to do with Dub C. Raven, what's your number 4?
West Up with Mac 10 and Ice Cube. Man, I love that fucking song. The beat, I don't know, the song makes me happy. It makes me wild.
Yeah, and a great way to start the record. That was an honorable
Facts.
mention. Yeah, it was an honorable mention. That was another one that was kind of hard not to put on there, but I was like, well, it's kind of like, is that the first time we hear Westside Connection all together? It just might be.
Yeah, it
You
might
know,
be.
I believe so, because even that first Mac 10 album might be 95, 94, 95, might be 95, so he was pretty new. But yeah, West Up is dope.
Well, was it just Mac 10 who was on the bootlegs and B-sides with Cube?
No,
Because
Dub C was on My
Mm.
Skin Is My Sin. Mac 10 is not on bootleg the B-sides.
he's not on it. Oh, so it's
Mm.
Dub C. Okay, I knew one of
It's
them was
yeah,
on there.
yeah,
One was.
Dub C's on My Skin Is My Sin, which is such a good song. That shouldn't have
Say
been
dope ass song.
how that didn't make. I know it was a B-side on one of the singles, but how that didn't make an album blows my mind.
My bootlegs and B-sides is awesome. Awesome record.
Such a good compilation. I mean, actually, half of them are remixes, but the unreleased stuff, that almost could have been an album and it would have been a great album. I mean, Robin Hood is amazing. Ain't Gonna Take My Life.
Some of them remixes I like better than the originals too. It's just a solid fucking record.
Right. What a great release. And I thought it was cool that the CD, the disc itself, looked like someone took masking tape and wrote the title on it. Diz, what is your number 4?
All right, number 4, I went outside of his own discography. 2002, Scarface's The Fix. Towards the end of the record, actually is the last song, I Ain't the One, featuring Dub C, of course. The beat is cool, man. I loved hearing Scarface and Dub C on the same track. One of my favorite, I guess, Scarface tracks, but I'm going to give it to Dub C on this episode because I just got to give it props. I love the track. So, and I like the title, the little throwback or nod to Ice Cube, I Ain't the One.
Yeah, The Fix is a great album. So we are to the top 3. And at number 3, I'm taking you to a place no one probably would guess, and watch, all you guys will have it. But I'm going to 1997. The Law House Experience Volume 1. The song is called Give It Up. If somebody said, I've never heard Dub C, can you play one song that just kind of shows me what he is? I would play this. It's got that style he became known for. This is right after Westside Connection. Dub C has really good overdubs, pun intended. But Laylaw, he produces the whole album. That's why it's his compilation. But just a perfect beat for Dub C's voice. And it's such an amazing compilation. This was another one that flew under the radar. I mean, this is 97. He gave you all brand new songs by Dub C, Ice-T, Ice Cube, Above the Law, Loonies, Exhibit. It's just filled with so much. And it's another one that a lot of people slept on. Go check out the Law House Experience. You'll probably thank me. But Give It Up. Oof, it gets me excited every time I hear it. So it rose up to number 3. Brad, what's number 3 on yours?
I have that Law House Experience. I haven't listened to it in a long time. Thanks for
So
reminding
good.
me about
So
that.
good.
It is good. All right, here it is. Quick way out. Quick way out. Fuck yeah. I'm so glad that you guys picked that. So here's my things that haven't been said about Quick Way Out because we've already kind of talked about it ad nauseum. This has been said. The Trespass soundtrack, if you haven't heard it, go fucking listen to it. But what I liked about this track, so I came to it later. I'd already kind of known Coolio from his radio hits. He seemed like, like of all the West Coast guys, he didn't seem as gangster as everyone else. But when you heard Coolio on the Mad Circle shit, he was hard. Like this song, Coolio's like, I think one of the guys that helps him out, Coolio ends up just shooting him. And
What'd you
Dub's
do
like,
that
why'd
for?
you do that? And he's like, I know you and you know me, but I didn't know him, so fuck him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, that's hard, Coolio. That's fucking awesome. So if you want to hear Coolio fucking hard as hell, go listen to Quick Way Out. It's fucking awesome. And that takes nothing away from Dub C, who's phenomenal on it as well.
They were such a good, even though we got one full album with them, I really thought they complemented each other lyrically together. Number 3, Raven.
91 Ain't a Damn Thing Changed, and I went with Ain't a Damn Thing Changed because it's just such a great song. It's classic as fuck. I love the beat. Crazy Tunes was so fucking good. DJ Crazy Tunes, so fucking good.
That was where I ended up putting Back to the Underground for all the reasons you said. And kind of 2 days ago, it got knocked off because every time I heard Back to the Underground, I got excited. But another great way to start the record. Glad it made your list. Diz, what is number 3 for you?
Number 3, West Coast Voodoo, Guilty by
Hell yes.
Affiliation. A West Coast anthem, I can't be denied, almost like the last one that I talked about, but this one has the Game on it, and Ice Cube, of course, and they're just killing it. I don't know what else I could really say about it, but the beat is dope. It definitely sounds like, I know they made a video for it, so I'm not sure how much commercial success it had, but it definitely sounds like a West Coast banger. So I love it. It's probably is third best in my opinion.
All right, number 2. My number 2 was number 1 until about 10 a.m. this morning. They were fighting with each other, and this one lost from the number 1 spot, but it's from 1998's The Shadiest One. That's the third time I went here. Maybe this is my favorite Dub C album. And I'm going with the title track, The Shadiest One, featuring CJ Mack, who's super underrated rapper, does not get enough love. Man, storytelling again. Beat by Amp Banks. It was just tailor-made for this type of song. It's like an audio movie. The details and twists in the story are so good. It starts as a normal like crime gangster story, and there's these little twists and turns, and things you go back later and saw that CJ Mack was noticing didn't make sense, and at the end it turns out Dub C was setting him up and turning on him, and it's just such a great twist. And rappers don't tell stories like this anymore. Like, what happened to our storytellers? This is literally like an audio movie. And I know I'm repeating myself, but god damn, he's one of the best storytellers ever. Brad, what's your number 2?
All right. Speaking of West Coast anthems, it's already been said. West Up from my favorite Dub C album. And I like The Shadiest One. I didn't pick anything from The Shadiest One. It is a really good album. I don't know why I didn't pick anything from it, but this is my favorite. And West Up is, like we said, was the beginning of Westside Connection. And you may not consider Westside Connection to be Dub C material for a top 10, but Westside Connection to me is one of the greatest. There's very few great hip hop bands. There's lots of great hip hop artists. It's hard for hip hop because I think of all the egos to have 3 or 4 people working together. But man, there's some magic when Mac 10, Dub C, and Ice Cube put some stuff down on wax. So, what's up?
No doubt about it. Westside Connection is up there with the top groups, right? And think, Cube not only was in Westside Connection, he was in NWA. He was kind of in Lynch Mob. I mean, it's almost like Ice Cube is one of the best rappers ever.
Yeah.
That's what it's starting to seem like. Yeah, I'm surprised West Up didn't make my list. That's a great song. Raven, what's your number 2?
The one from Curb Serving. That sample's crazy. I love that shit. Yeah, it's so fucking good. They read that beat so good. I love the like jumping back and forth, really like soft and slower back to Dub C rapping and shit. That was always a standout from that album.
Such a smooth beat, like you said. 2, Diz.
Hey, I'm going with The Shadiest One.
My man.
CJ Mack and F Banks. Woo! Come on, man. And F Banks was on top of his game around this time. Like you don't even have to look at the credits and you know it's an F Banks beat. You can just tell.
Yeah.
Him and CJ Mack are just fucking magic together. Like arguably the best duo. Well, I know they didn't make a ton of stuff together, but when they get together, man, they're excellent. The storytelling on here is great too. Like you could listen to it multiple times and catch different shit. Yeah. CJ Mack really elevated here. Like he was fucking crazy on this one, and he does a lot of the hook too, But Dub C gets to go crazy on this hook as well, doing what he does best. That crazy shit that Dub C likes to do. What does he do? A Christmas thing on here? Mixes it up.
Yeah,
like that,
la, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Tis the season to be jacking.
Yeah, it's like only Dub C could do this,
Right.
Only Dub C. It was a masterpiece of a song. So it's my second favorite Dub C track.
That's great to hear. Like I said, it was fighting for number one. Such great storytelling.
Mhm.
Anybody listening, if you've never really listened to this track or just kind of had it in the background, like pay attention. It's like a song you can go back later and catch hints to the storyline. Just what a great storyline. But it wasn't my number one. My number one was from 1995's Curb Serving. And the story of all Dub C stories, to me, ended up being In a Twist featuring Coolio. What put this over number two? The original team of Dub C and Coolio. Even though he left the Mad Circle, they still did songs on each other's albums. This Beat by Crazy Tunes with samples Parliament's Aqua Boogie, that just put it a little bit over. And it's a fun, where Shadiest one is like a hard watch for, clues type one. This one is more lighthearted, even though they're robbing a bunch of senior citizens on a bus to their way to Las Vegas. But Coolio's like, old people don't trust young guys, so you got to dress up as a senior citizen. So Dub C's dressed up as an old man and ends up, robbing them all. And the bus driver turns out, shooting him. And it's just, man, these stories, geez, Dub C could have been like a writer. It's just these stories, I guess he is in some respects, but just the storytelling is banana. And I wish people told stories like this. Yeah, In a Twist, him dressing up as a senior citizen, shit, that makes me smile every time as well. So that's my number one. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, that I love that song, and I I thought about including that, but I kind of felt like Quick Way Out and In a Twist were very similar,
They
and
are.
so I just chose one, not downplaying your number one. It's an awesome song, and I really did consider putting that one in there. It is hilarious. But anyways, like I said, I know this may be cheating, but fuck it. This is literally a top 10 favorite album of all time for me. You know what? Dub C's in the group, and I'm gonna break the rules for a top 10 album. And I'm gonna go with Bow Down, the title track, because I had the single before the album came out. I played that shit out, and then I played the album out, and I still love this album. And Raven, normally we agree on things 90% of the time, but fucking Terrorist Threat doesn't hold a candle to this fucking album. This album is perfection. And a couple of things about this album, and I'm sure I've said it before. Fuck the Source for giving it 4.5 mics because it instigated the West Coast East Coast rivalry. They couldn't give it 5, even though it's a 5 mic album. They dissed it a half a mic because of politics. And then secondly, even right before Tupac's death, he didn't say a lot about it, but there was an interview where he talked about this album, and he was kind of saying that Ice Cube was jumping on his whole West Coast rivalry thing. So Tupac knew this shit was good and was scared of it and was trying to diss it a little bit as well. So fabulous album. To me, Westside Connection is pinnacle for really for Dub C and Mac 10. Maybe not so. I'm probably picking for Dub C and Mac 10. Maybe not so much for Cube. He had a lot of career highlights as we mentioned.
Besides it obviously was a 5 mic album, and the source is the East Coast paper. But besides loving the album, Bow Down, so hardcore, the song and the album. But as being a fan or big fan of Dub C before this, I love that he got to be heard by more people. Because you kind of had to really be into hip hop to know Dub C and the Mad Circle before this. The casual fans who might listen to Snoop and Dre weren't checking out, Mad Circle records, but they were checking out Westside Connection. And I think he gained a lot of fans because of that record. So even though it's cheating, I've become used to everyone cheating every week. So it doesn't even faze me anymore. So good number one. All right, number one for you, Raven.
Man, I never hated on fucking Bow Down, by the way. Like, I still love that record. So y'all chill the fuck out. It's just I really love the production of Terror Threats, if anything. But anyway,
it's a good record. Terror Shots is good. It's good.
I went to 1998. DJ Premier produced a song for the Belly soundtrack called The Militia. And it was Dub C, Gangstar, and Rakim, and that is my favorite fucking song. I love Premier, I love Gangstar. Who doesn't love Rakim? And Dub C fit in with them somehow. It's just that's a killer fucking song. Belly's another really good soundtrack.
It is. And Gangstar had made a few Militia Posse tracks before that. I remember being surprised. You wouldn't think Guru and Dub C, Gangstar, but you're right, it works.
But it fits. Yeah.
It fits really, really good. And all those Militia records are really, really good. Diz, did you cheat on your number one like some other people?
I mean, I kind of cheated, but I did not pick a Westside Connection track. My favorite all-time track, and to be fair, this could be my favorite all-time for all three of these guys, but I love gang-related. CJ Mack, Trey D, Dub C, over a Das Dillinger beat during Death Row's finest hours. Jeez, like this is a killer team, and all of them kill it, man. Especially Dub C. You know, I love Dub C's lyrics on there. Like I just love the descriptions of what he says. It's so West Coast gangster, puts you in his shoes almost, you know, and the way he just spits it out is just dope, man. The other guys, man, Trey D, CJ Mack. This might have been the track that put all these three on the map for me. At least made me a fan of all of them. This track also is probably one of my all-time favorite tracks ever made. So I kind of cheated, but I love the track so much. Dub C kills it on here. It's a beautiful song. It's my all-time favorite Dub C song.
I'm so glad somebody else picked some of these songs I didn't expect anybody else to pick.
Yeah, I never even thought of that soundtrack, remembering him even being on it. So now I kind of want to go back and check it out again because I'm not really hearing that song in my head. So it might be fun to check it out.
Masterpiece.
And like we said, CJ Mack put out a couple really good solo albums too. People should check out.
He was so dope.
Oh man, why he never, I mean, it happens all the time. Just because you're a really good rapper doesn't mean you're gonna pop. But CJ Mack is worth digging in the crates to check out. Anyone who has only heard him on like a Dub C record or a Snoop album or whatever. All right, Dub C, honorable mentions. If you are joining me for the first time, if nobody brought up a song I really thought needed to at least get mentioned, I put it in the honorable mentions. Give it a quick shout out. So that's what we're going to do. Here's one from left field. From the Longest Yard soundtrack, a song called Whip Your Ass. The whole background beat is like a bullwhip. It's funny. It always makes me smile. From Low Profiles, Pay Your Dues. I mean, that was the single off of that. From Ain't a Damn Thing Changed, Dress Code. And I really thought someone would have You Don't Work, You Don't Eat. Got MC8, got JD from the Lynch Mob. I thought that would make someone's list. Curb Serving, Kill a Habit. His brother's a basshead. Great storytelling. From Shadiest One, I thought someone would pick the single Just Clownin'. Nobody did. The autobiography where he takes the beat from Pay Your Dues and kind of talks about his career up until that point. And Worldwide Gunnin' from that. From Ghetto Heisman, I got Bellin' and So Hard featuring Scarface. From Guilty by Affiliation, This Is Los Angeles. And from the Ant Banks Big Thangs compilation, another underrated compilation, song called Hard Knocks. That's another compilation. That was the compilation that brought Too Short out of retirement the 1 year he retired. All right, have a good night. See you guys.
Take it easy, guys.
Still a B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy.